What's up gamers, DreamcastGuy here, reviewing today Dark Souls 3. There are few series with a fanbase more ruthlessly dedicated than those of the Souls games. These are titles that are renowned for their difficulty, being tough but fair. With time and dedication, anything can be beaten, and this theme has built a new group of gamers who love being tested, who seek all the toughest challenges of every dungeon and don't mind dying a few thousand times along the way. For those who are wanting to face off against bosses that are enormous monsters that almost defy the imagination, or to plumb the depths of new areas and discover all new secrets, Dark Souls 3 is the ultimate reward. You have more weapons to master, insane enemies to fight, and shiny spells to level up, all resulting in an experience that both old school Souls players will enjoy while still being a great jumping on point for newcomers. At the opening of the game, we create a character, choose a class, and rise out of the grave, setting forward on a task to track down the missing Lords of Cinder. The plot in this game is a lot more straightforward than previous entries in the series, and overall the lore is better written. This was my first time in the franchise where I really found myself wanting to read every item and search every corner for the next clue about the origins of this chaotic undead world. There are several major nods to heroes and events that have shown up throughout Souls 1 and 2, which adds a sense that we really are taking part in this ancient, endless war. As it stands, Dark Souls 3 is said to be the last of the Dark Souls trilogy, and while playing through it, it does seem to have a tone of finality. It takes all the best elements from every game that From Software has ever made and blends them together perfectly. The combat has been sped up in the style of Bloodborne, the art is more hauntingly beautiful than ever, and even exploring areas feels improved because of the generous amount of fireside checkpoints and devious hidden paths to get lost in. With each zone you unlock and boss you fell, the difficulty stacks higher and higher until some foes are absolutely terrifying. Standing in a courtyard filled with hundreds of bodies, all wearing the exact same armor I am, serves as a reminder that one wrong step can mean a brutal death. This never felt frustrating though. Even when I would get stuck on an impossible encounter for over an hour, I didn't want to give up and walk away. Instead, it made me want to fight harder. Victory always seemed like it was just one flawless sword swipe away. With all the combat changes in Dark Souls 3, you have a lot more tactics to use in battle to keep things interesting. Perhaps the biggest added feature is the new abilities that are tied to the blue mana bar. If you're a spellcaster, this is where you'll draw your magic, but it also has special uses for normal weapon wielders. Each of the 24 item classes now have unique power attacks that can be unleashed. For a standard blade, this may be a devastating thrust that can pierce through armor, or an upwards cut that can stun foes, but some magically crafted weapons can do more extreme things like set loose a storm of holy magic to consume your enemies. Every weapon has its own individual style, and finding a favorite way to fight is almost half the fun of Dark Souls 3. The true highlight though is finding a way to defeat the all-new bosses. They have such an amazing range of design. At one point, you could be dodging the blows of a shadowy skeleton king, or trying to avoid the fiery swipes of an enchanted suit of armor, only to pass through the next gate and find a completely fresh set of challenges before you. Dark Souls 3 does what no game has done for me in years. It made me constantly curious of what could possibly come next. This is in large part due to the incredibly diverse level design. Trudging through swamps filled with creepy shaman, hacking my way through an undead village, or just climbing across the rooftops of castles. Each zone is gorgeous to look at and simultaneously a merciless death trap if you happen to let your guard down even for a moment. From the very start, it pulls you deep into this devastated world, and it teaches you all about the pacing of the game. Every fight you lose shows you something new. Maybe you need to gain some levels, dodge a little bit faster, or upgrade your sword just that tiny bit more. It's a system that's harsh but incredibly addictive, and even after beating the last boss, I absolutely wanted to go right back, start a new game, and go all the way through it from the beginning. If I had one small complaint, it would be that the sound and graphics would occasionally glitch out. Sometimes I'd be defeated and not hear the death sound for 2 or 3 seconds. Or a character would show up and be really low resolution, like they hadn't properly loaded in. Okay, so we've heard a lot of good and a little bad, but let's head over to the ratings board and put a big number on it. I am giving Dark Souls 3 a 10 out of 10. This game is a fantastic adventure that'll test your skills, reaction speed, and wits hundreds of times over and leave you craving more. If you've never played a Souls game and you're curious about the series, definitely check this out. If you've loved the franchise since Demon's Souls first came out, then this is going to be the ultimate treat for you. With the best combat, the best bosses, and the best story, this title is awesome from the start to the finish. Thanks so much for watching, gamers. This has been DreamcastGuy with another review. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video, maybe check out my last video. Please subscribe, and if you want, share this somewhere with your friends.